Hey there, fellow learner. Ready to dive into the world of herbal remedies?
Mm.
You've got quite the stack of sources here. We've been going through them, and let me tell you, some fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it seems like you're really drawn to this whole idea of using plants for, health and well-being.
Totally. And the thing is, it's not just some like passing fad, right? This stuff goes way back.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking practices rooted in ancient cultures all over the world, really.
I mean, when you say ancient, how ancient are we talking?
Well, take the Ebers Papyrus, for example. It's an Egyptian text, a medical one, from, get this, 1550 BC?
1550 BC? Seriously?
Yep, and it's basically a guide to medicinal plants. That's over 3,500 years ago that they were writing this stuff down.
Wow. So it's like we've got a direct line to like ancient healers or something, right?
How amazing, isn't it? I mean, think about it. These remedies were passed down for generations, tried and tested over centuries. Makes you wonder what we might rediscover by tapping into that.
It really makes you think. One thing that struck me going through all this is there's a real desire for like natural solutions these days.
For sure. You see people searching for alternatives, exploring more holistic approaches, wanting to understand what they're putting into their bodies, taking control.
And let's be real, with the cost of, well, everything going up, healthcare, even just stuff at the pharmacy.
Right, it's expensive.
This whole growing your own thing can be a real game changer, financially speaking.
Absolutely. And it's not just about saving money, of course, but it's a nice bonus,
Yeah.
right? Like we saw with Sarah J's story in your research, remember?
Yeah, she was growing chamomile and lavender, wasn't she?
Exactly. For anxiety.
Yeah.
Said it not only helped with stress, but saved a ton compared to buying those herbal supplements.
That's awesome. Double benefit, right?
Yeah.
Taking charge of your health and your wallet. Speaking of Sarah, should we dive into some of these stories? People who've really embraced herbal remedies and are seeing results.
Let's do it. Those personal experiences are so valuable, especially as we figure out how this could work for you.
It's so cool to hear about people like Sarah, actually growing their own remedies. But gotta be honest, I'm more of a apartment dweller myself. Small balcony, that's about it. So is this whole backyard pharmacy thing even possible without the, well, backyard?
Oh, absolutely. You don't need a ton of space to get into herbs. In fact, lots of them do really well indoors or on balconies.
Right, right. Like, what was his name? Michael T.
Exactly. He talked about growing basil, rosemary, and mint into this whole family thing, all within his apartment.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He mentioned a sunny windowsill, so finding the right spot is key.
Sunlight is huge. Most herbs want 6 to 8 hours a day, ideally. So think about the sunniest spots in your place.
Okay, so I found my little sun-drenched corner. What's next? Do I need all kinds of fancy gear?
Not at all. Start simple. A trowel for digging, some pruning shears and gloves. That's really all you need at first.
Okay, that's not too bad. I think I might even have some of that stuff lying around somewhere. So, simple start. What about the herbs themselves? Where do you recommend a total newbie begin?
Yeah, it can be overwhelming with so many to choose from. Basil's great, just like Michael T did, remember. Super versatile, good for cooking, and like we said earlier, has those anti-inflammatory properties and can even help with stress.
Okay, so basil's going on the list. Plus, it grows well both indoors and outright. Now, I'm curious about those digestive benefits we talked about. What were those herbs again?
Oh, for digestion, peppermint is fantastic. It's known for soothing indigestion and bloating.
Peppermint tea. Oh, my grandma used to make that whenever my stomach was upset.
There you go. Time-tested remedy for a reason.
Mm.
And when you grow your own, you get that super fresh taste. Just toss a few leaves in hot water, let it steep.
Sounds so refreshing. Are there other herbs that can help with everyday stuff, like if I'm feeling stressed or can't sleep?
For sleep, chamomile is a classic. You mentioned having trouble sleeping in your notes, and chamomile is known for being calming and relaxing, a perfect addition to your bedtime routine.
Chamomile tea before bed. That does sound nice. Anything to get a good night's sleep, right?
Exactly. And for some serious relaxation, there's always lavender.
Ooh, lavender. Okay, now we're talking aromatherapy. I can practically smell it. So calming.
And the power of scent, right? A few drops of essential oil, or even a little lavender sachet under your pillow, can work wonders for stress and sleep.
I love it. So much good stuff. But before I get totally carried away and turn my apartment into an herb jungle, what about actually growing these things? What kind of soil do I need? So we've covered sunlight, talked about some beginner herbs, but what about soil? Is that something I need to worry about, even inside?
Definitely. Soil is key. Whether you're planting in the ground or, pots on your balcony, most herbs like well-drained soil. You mentioned soil testing in your research, right?
Yeah, I was looking into those kits. They seem pretty easy to use.
They are. Super helpful, especially if you're planting outside. See what your soil's like, the nutrients and all that. And if you need to adjust it, there are lots of natural things you can add. Now, have you thought about raised beds or containers at all?
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with limited space. Plus, with containers, I could move them around if I need to follow the sun. This is all starting to come together. But before I get ahead of myself, safety. Any precautions with using herbal remedies, even common ones like chamomile or peppermint?
Really good question. Just because something's natural doesn't mean it's like 100% risk-free. They can interact with medications and things.
Oh, right. Like, I know grapefruit can mess with some medications. Does that happen with herbs too?
It can. Garlic and ginger, for example, which are great for a lot of things, can actually make blood thinners more powerful. So always check with your doctor or, a qualified herbalist if you have any concerns or are on any medication.
Makes sense. Don't want to mix things up by accident. Okay, so to recap, start small, choose easy herbs, understand my soil, watch out for interactions, and of course, talk to my doctor.
You got it. You've been taking great notes. This is all about discovery.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to experiment. Find what works for you. Maybe you'll love making your own teas or like infusing oils. There's so much you can do.
I love that. Okay, for our listeners who are feeling inspired, ready for their own herbal adventures, any resources you recommend?
There was that book you had in your stack, the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook.
Oh, yeah, I've heard great things.
It's got tons of practical advice on making your own remedies at home, teas, salves, tinctures, all sorts of stuff.
This deep dive has definitely convinced me to finally check it out.
I think you'll really like it. And remember, you don't need a huge garden to experience this stuff. Even a single pot of basil on a windowsill is a great start.
Love it. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of herbal remedies. But the journey doesn't end here, right? For everyone listening, we've explored the history, the practicalities, heard some amazing stories. Now it's your turn. What will your herbal journey look like?